All right, 20 to 8 on this Friday morning. Good morning to you, and delighted to have you with us. Here's what's happening in the newspapers this morning. We're going to kick things off with the Irish Daily Mail, who say it's up for grabs. Joe tells Byrne and Carty to stake a claim. This is the most obvious point of the weekend. I would think that it's a straight shootout between Ross Byrne and Jack Carty for that Irish number 10 shirt ahead of the game against England at the weekend. It's Byrne, obviously, who gets the nod. That's Rory Keane there. Sprinter Coleman facing ban and Olympic KO is an exclusive by Matt Lawton here with the news that there's been 3 missed tests and a possible strike, obviously, at that by Christian Coleman, who is the next coming Usain Bolt, by all accounts, 23-year-old American sprinter, and he's had recorded 3 whereabouts failures, according to Matt Lawton in the Daily Mail today, in the past 12 months. So anti-doping rules state that top athletes must provide authorities with details of where it's going to be every day. He's saying that last night there were also rumours that other American sprinters could have an issue with the whereabouts system. It's understood there are high-level talks ongoing between all the parties that you might expect, and he's clearly going to appeal. It seems on one of the whereabouts issues he may have a bit of a case, and even a bit of a case you would assume is enough to get him off. Yeah, this is not a good look for Christian Coleman. We spoke about him on the show a couple of weeks ago when he was glorifying Justin Gatlin in the newspapers at the recent Diamond League meeting. I think it was on in Birmingham, wasn't it? So yeah, he's not painting himself in great colours over the last couple of weeks. He's somebody who kind of burst onto the scene a couple of years ago. He's been, as you say, the next superstar. He's already seen as the next superstar. I think he's the fastest man in the world right now if you're looking at 2019 times, and he would be in with a good shout of taking gold in the World Championships. We didn't actually know a whole pile about him in terms of his stance on anti-doping, but once you come out and supported Justin Gatlin, it's pretty clear what your stance is.
Says it all, yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah, but obviously it's only a whereabouts failure at this point. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what I presume it's USADA cracking down on this. Yeah, I'm not sure. There are 3 or 4. So the talks are between the World Anti-Doping Agency, obviously, United States Anti-Doping, and the IAAF's Athletics Integrity Unit about the case with Coleman's legal team disputing at least one of the alleged whereabouts violations. So we'll see over the next few days. The other thing on the back page of the Mail, Rory sizzles in Atlanta. This is the odd and new ending to the Tour Championship. He's moved to within a stroke of the lead. Listen to him talk during the week, not delighted about the unusual system whereby you carry a score into the week as opposed to accumulate when you get there. Odd. We'll see how it goes. It might probably just be a one-off tester. That's the Daily Mail this morning. Stephen, what have you got?
I have the Sun Sport here. First part is the big one. That's AOK, boys, which is referring to Celtic's win last night, 2-0 against AOK Stockholm. Good result for them after going out of the Champions League so badly. So back on track in European football, and hopefully they can progress. The top one here is it's Taylor versus Coleman 2. That's referring to the game tonight, which is Everton versus Aston Villa versus Everton. So the first time they would have played against us since Taylor's broke Coleman's leg that time, which was, I don't think it was an intent tackle, but it was a tough tackle, and I know Taylor as well, and he's a tough player. So I don't think Seamus would have held any angst against him. He went into it, it was horrible to see, and thankfully Seamus is back up on his feet as well and playing well. And then in the corner here is Linfield beat Carabag 3-2, which was again another good result for them last night. It gives them a great opportunity to go forward in the competition. Yeah, unreal results for them last night. The Irish Times this morning leads with the rugby. Twickenham, an imposing testing ground for Byrne and Carty. They're both going to play, according to Joe Schmidt, tomorrow afternoon. And Byrne will be tactically important for Ireland. It's Liam Tolan's analysis column this morning. And then the final piece there on the front page of the sports section is Schmidt keenly aware of the danger of suspension. So the Ireland coach is wary of the implications of crackdown on high or dangerous tackles. The Irish Mirror this morning leads with the Celtic result last night, beating AIK 2-0. Paradise regained. It's Gavin McCafferty here. Boys on difficult week on a European high. That's the photograph there as well. Bit of an odd one here. Vinny, I'm not boss in games. This is Vincent Kompany, obviously, who took over as manager at Anderlecht after leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. They've had a rough start to the season. In fact, the worst start in 21 years. And now he's saying that once the game kicks off, he's no longer the manager. This is ridiculous. How can you take over as player manager and not be making decisions if you're playing? It's crazy. It feels almost like with the worst start to the season, he's like, well, listen, I'm only kind of half the manager, right? Like when the game starts, it's somebody else's game. Is that not literally what a manager's supposed to do? Is be able to change a game tactically when it's going on and be able to assess and change things, bring players, make a judgment call. That's what they're paid for. This is a good news story, and I'll tell you why. It's because Samir Nasri will have the armband stripped of him because Vincent Kompany now becomes captain
So he's not player manager anymore. He is the captain of the team, and Samir Nasri is no longer captain of Anderlecht. I thought it was kind of a strange signing at the time, but I'm sure he won't be too happy with that. It's a straight 21 years. The last time they've had as bad a start as this. It's just a complete cop-out, really, to say, okay, you're not going to be the manager for match days. The next step is clearly for him to be not manager at all.
Would it be in a situation, can they sack him as manager and he'd obviously still be there as a player, because they can't sack him as a player unless he does something against his contract.
Yeah.
So can he be sacked as a manager and then still be their player? Would that not
Probably. I mean, it'd get kind of awkward.
Yeah, well, it would be awkward, wouldn't it?
Simon Davis, I feel sorry for, head coach, who essentially takes over on match days and is saying Vincent will be the leader on the field. He will be in charge of the team, but it's important that he's merely one of the players during the match. No, it's not. He's a club manager. There's not a whole pile of recent examples of it happening. But if you're going to be the manager, like even from an optics point of view, to the rest of the team, you're like, oh, hey, I'm not one of you. It's like, that's ridiculous.
There will be a deep dive done on this. Of course, there's been somebody who has been sold as a player who managed to become manager of that team. But this will surely be the first person who's got sacked by that club as a manager who was on to play for that club.
And stays playing them for the next 4 years. Now, you surely would think they'd have to work out something.
Yeah.
It's not there, because from his point of view, that would look terrible that he's still playing for them.
Shocking.
The best quiz question ever.
I have the Independent here, and the main one again is Celtic on their 2-0 win last night in the Europa League. In the side here, it's Kenny sticking with Dublin despite Galway speculation, which is Matty Kelly has confirmed that he will remain as the Dublin hurling manager for 2020, ending speculation that he could be the next Galway boss. And then in the bottom here is Carberry has all the time in the world to prove himself, which is Joe Schmidt saying that he will probably bring the versatile Munster star to Japan even if he can't prove his fitness.
The Racing Post this morning leads with Queen in the north, York hailed sensational Enable, and then the back page goes with a football preview. Silva Service, Toffees to deliver table-topping performance. Aston Villa against Everton. One of my childhood memories is Saturday night, Gary Lineker, twice a year. It's the oldest fixture in football, Aston Villa against Everton, and I've missed that for the last couple of years, so it's back.
Most played league games in English football is 203, I think they played against each other at the top play.
It's a stat.
There you go.
The fact that you're saying when you were a kid, Gary Lineker was on TV.
I'm still a kid, always young.
My main takeaway there. The Herald, meanwhile, is already building up the hype. It says, don't believe the hype, but we're already looking ahead to the game that's 7 or 8 days away, 9 days away now, almost, for the Kerry-Dublin final. This is Frank Roach writing about a couple of times where it's gone slightly wrong. Kerry, of course, the Kerry 1982 5-in-a-row year T-shirt that's up here on this poor kid. I mean, it's a bit of a collector's item, I suppose, the other way to look at that. He's reflecting on that, and he's reflecting on Kilkenny in 2010 as well. The 10,000 fans that turned up to see a training session to send their boys off in search of the 5-in-a-row that ultimately came a cropper. That's Frank Roach's thoughts in the Herald this morning.
I have the Telegraph Sport here, and there's an article by Alistair Tweedle just discussing VAR and how fans love a good old moan. So regardless of the rule changes and how VAR, there's always going to be an opinion and something that's going to bring controversy, and he thinks VAR probably can't really win. And in the bottom corner here I have Total Rugby, your 8-page is a guide to the pull-out, and it's going to be just talking about the games the weekend and the build-up to the World Cup.
Jofra Archer is on the front and the back of the London Times. There he's in the back, 6 for 45. Archer bowls out Australia with remarkable show of maturity in just his second test. US investors close in on Sunderland. Meanwhile, Sunderland are close to being taken over by American investors. So the League One club hope to conclude a deal within a fortnight with Glenn Furman, John Phelan and Robert Platek, principals of MSD Capital, which is a private investment firm that manages the capital of Michael Dell and his family. So I think that's pretty good news for Sunderland. And US sprinter faces ban, which we've mentioned. 100-metre superstar Christian Coleman has missed drug tests, and Stuart Barnes has got a column in the Times as well this morning. Eddie Jones's tinkering in midfield has echoes of 2015. I was kind of like, when I looked at the Jones, or at the Ford Farrell Axis at 10-12, I was like, this is good news for Ireland.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't they go on like a 78 winning run?
True, but it doesn't.
78 games together.
I'm kind of in the prism of 2019 and what happened at the Aviva Stadium.
I'm all for that aspect of it. The Sunderland news is almost like rubbing it in the faces of Newcastle fans even more. Like, we want to get a new owner. We just go and get new owners
straight away, quickly, and not someone clinging on to the club. And Newcastle is just a club that's always going to be in turmoil while Ashley's charged, because they just can't get it right, and no matter what he does is never the right
Never
option.
thing, yeah. All right, moving on to the Irish Daily Star this morning. Kieran Donaghy's column there. Win so sweet for Lennon. Some other stuff going on there. Mesut Ozil in line for his Arsenal return against Liverpool this weekend. And Rom Rant. Lukaku hits out United fans who used him as a scapegoat. He's saying that everything that was wrong was my fault, essentially. This is a fairly lengthy interview that Romelu Lukaku, some of which I watched last night, is given to a football podcast. There was lots of interesting stuff in it. He was saying about, I put my hand up, I don't think I was the only one playing bad. A lot of people were. The fans have to find a culprit. If they want to put the blame on me, F it. I know what I've been through. I know what I've been through, and this is just soccer. I'm playing, but at one point I'll do something else. For me, it was just shit.
Yeah, I saw some of that as well, and he was talking about his relationship with Mourinho and how that they, even though they butt heads, he had such respect for him as a man as well. So it was an interesting interview to come out straight away after the season just kicking off. It's a lot of harsh words from him.
I'll kill his arse was the expression that he used in relation to Mourinho. This was obviously the butting of heads and the constant, because they've been in each other's company for, I'd say, maybe longer than both of them would have liked at various points. And it was I think around the time where he was at Chelsea and he got sent off on loan to West Brom and he wasn't happy about it. But even though he was saying all that stuff, and even though Lukaku has lots of reasons to really despise Mourinho, maybe it is borderline that. I have to say I did have some respect for him, because he was still saying, actually, I really like Mourinho. He's actually a good guy. He's like a great manager. Like, after everything he's been through, he should be one of the people who's going, this guy's an asshole. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's probably afraid he could get a job at a club he's coming up to. So you can't. I think retrospectively speaking, when you've retired, you can go on record and slaughter people to a degree. But when you're still playing, you have to kind of keep a degree of. He could be managing me at some point too. I'm still playing at big teams, and Mourinho's out of a job, so you could be in with them in a few months if they don't do well.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
The Guardian this morning goes to Jofra Archer as well. Deadly Archer is the headline. Pace ace takes 6 wickets as Australia crumble. Incredible stuff from him yesterday. Bury D-Day, meanwhile, EFL warns club could be expelled over debts. And Lucky 7, Jones puts faith in Curry and Underhill for Ireland clash. He's calling his two flankers the kamikaze kids.
You watched a little bit of the cricket?
I've watched a little bit of it, yeah. It's hard not to, if you're in the UK, especially when the Ashes are on, because they go crazy for it. And just the laughing there, the puns write themselves with that guy, don't they? It's brilliant.
He came out afterwards and he was saying, it wasn't the perfect performance, even though he pulled them apart, but he's like, listen, there's still plenty, make a good GA player. He's like, still plenty of room for improvement.
He's made it slightly more exciting, because the pace, you see the first few balls he put, and the concussions and everything, not that that's to be something to be glorified, but just the shock and awe of it when you're watching it for the first time. It's been impressive.
Yeah, all right, that is the look at the papers for you on this Friday morning.